Hey everyone, just want to do a quick recap for week 18. I don't know if any of you missed, but I didn't do a recap for week 17. I guess I was just that ready for a break. I totally forgot about it, but don't know if I'll share much here. As to week 17, just trying to recall and jog on my mind here to see what we talked about, but there wasn't a whole lot stuck out as far as anything difficult. It's pretty straightforward. So hopefully the kids enjoyed week 17. But week 18 was yesterday, so I do recall that. The only controversy, I guess, we had for new grammar was geography and the Gulf of Mexico, something I didn't take notice of, but one of my students, one of my very own children, of course, had to call me out on it. But if you have the flip book, and if you can see my map, the Gulf of Mexico is listed here. So I used the flip book to identify the Gulf of Mexico on my big map. So all the locations for Mesoamerica regions were down here, and I included the Gulf of Mexico in here as well. But if you look at like an official CC map, Gulf of Mexico is up here. So that was important for him because he's working on Memory Masters. He wanted to make sure that he's identifying the right place for the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm just calling it out because that was really the only thing for new grammar that stuck out. Everything else is fairly straightforward. I mean, they're so used to the timeline by now. It's hard for us to even just go through and say the timeline. They're singing it because they're so used to the rhythm of the song after singing it for years. And we only had three more helping verbs, and most of them have the song down by now. So it was pretty straightforward. New grammar. Science, we had the two projects. Experiments, we had push up and updraft, and I think both were interesting. The push up, we gave them the opportunity to do two types of experiments with air pressure. We got to put the jar into the big bowl of water, and they got to see how the water remained in the jar as we pulled it up slowly out of the bowl, and they could see that the pressure actually kept the water in the jar at a higher level than what was in the bowl. And then we used the index cards then to find out what happened if we filled those jars of water or halfway or what have you, put the index card on top, and then flipped it over. And the pressure actually held the card in place. And we messed around with that. We did experiments. What if the index card was a little bit wet? How wet could it be and still hold that pressure in? So that was good. And then the updraft, where we had the little candle and the spirals, we got a little bit of movement that I guess we could attribute to the heat coming off of the candle, but didn't swirl, and we anticipated that. But it did warrant a lot of conversation, especially about wind and how wind works. And we did have one student that kind of explained briefly how wind works. Sometimes has to do with the hot and cold air masses, kind of hitting, combating. But I just suggested to the class like it'd be great for one of our students to actually do a brief presentation on what makes wind blow, what makes it happen. So I don't know if any of them would take that challenge seriously or not. But the science experiments were good. Art, the elongated figures, we did it. I think overall, they understood the concept of what the artist was attempting to accomplish. So we completed that and complete the 6 weeks of Great Artists. So it was a good week overall. Grammar review, we went back to they're really big on wanting to do around the world. Maybe some of them, they have a big influence in the class because they're screaming for it. Around the world with geography and math, and again with Memory Masters closing in, I thought, well, it's a good time to practice drilling, even if you're not doing Memory Masters, just trying to get faster. And I know it's not everyone's forte. I get that. There are definitely things where I don't like to be pressed to try to get information quickly. But I tried to put it out there. It's just practice, and you know we're just here to have fun at the end of the day. But that was a quick summary of week 18, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.